So it's February 3rd, and this is now day 689 of lockdowns. Now, we've all talked about and we've all complained about and tried to bring about change when it comes to the negative aspects of these lockdowns. But one thing we don't really talk about is the positive aspect, the positive consequences of dealing with something so stupid and so challenging. Like anything in life, challenging things give you an incredible opportunity to become better. It does not mean that you have to enjoy the dumb shit that's happening around you, but it does mean that you should not let that dumb shit go to waste. If you had a terrible 2, 3, or 4 period in your life and all you did was survive and get through it, cool, you survived, but the fact that you did not actually become more intellectually or spiritually or emotionally sound and grounded, that would be a waste of time, a waste of a perfectly terrible experience. And that's something that I did not want to happen for myself in my business that I run out here throughout the course of these lockdowns. I did not want to waste a perfectly shit situation. A situation can still have positivity derived. So I wanted to just talk about some of the basic positives that I myself have experienced over the course of these almost 700 days. And I want to try to keep it condensed because this is like one of the first videos, and I don't want to turn you guys off with like a marathon of a video. So the first thing I just wanted to talk about in terms of positive repercussions from all this negativity, speaking about myself. So I'm almost 34 years old. Go back maybe 7, 8 years, I was one of those guys who was just angry all of the time, and I would just blow up over the smallest things. I was never a violent person or some batshit crazy person, but I would have an anger issue. I would go off so quickly, whether it was with a romantic partner or some random person who said the wrong thing to me. I would be very confrontational. Over the past, let's call it maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I really started to despise myself and specifically that aspect, that characteristic, that flaw that I had. So I made it a point to dial things back. Well, even running a gym here, a boot camp as a trainer and stuff, I even found myself dialing back a little bit in situations where maybe years ago I would just turn the music off and just chew someone out publicly. I would approach it differently. Sometimes I'll still do that, but for the most part, 9 out of 10 times, 99 out of 100 times, I'll be very chill and relaxed about it. And I was happy with this change because I was happier, I was calmer, I wasn't wasting energy on dumb stuff. Well, come lockdowns, and I don't know, however many days into it when I started to realize this is not okay, it's time to push back, I loved it because it sparked this ignition took place where that aggressive side of me that was dormant was awoken. And when I talk to people about like some of the cool things I've learned about what it is to like be a mature, grown man and a leader and stuff like that, is it's not the fact that you're an aggressive man. It's the fact that you have that aggression. It's the fact that you have that physical power, but you don't use it all the time. You know when to use it. It's in reserve. It's in reserves. And so for me, I started off this lockdown calm, collected, in opposition, but I was cool about it. And then as time went on, I started feeling tugged to go in the opposite direction of being more aggressive. And I started to check that because I didn't want to just default to anger. I mean, I'm not a primate. I'm not just gonna start throwing things against the wall when I get angry. I'm not gonna start just throwing a fit just because things aren't going the way I want them to. If I'm gonna be aggressive, it needs to make sense. I kept trying to check myself. I kept trying to tell myself, like, be in opposition, but be cool about it. And eventually this light went on. And it was a crazy light because the light was like, nah man, fuck that. Go ape shit, throw some stuff against the wall. And I really started to lean into that side. And that's where a lot of you guys who found me on Instagram, that's probably why the majority of you guys started paying attention to me, is not because of me saying goofy stuff. It's the energy that was behind it. The few times I get on it, I shouldn't say a few times, but the times I'd get on a camera, or the times that you would read the captions, and I didn't just type this up while I was sitting in line for fucking McDonald's. Like I was fuming, and people needed that type of energy to feel, I hate the word, but empowered to be like, I might not be a 10 out of 10 like this dude, but I can go from a 0 to a 4 at least, or from a 4 to a 6. And I started recognizing that my actions, sure, I was able to make this much progress in a dent based on my actions, but if I can get a dozen or 2 dozen people doing something else, that effect, that influence starts to grow. What I'm getting at is this lockdown reignited that aggressive side in myself. And that's something that it's something for which I'm grateful, because I think for a long time, I really went out of my way to be a calm dude, when in reality, I'm calmer. But I think I like using any excuse to say this. I think I was retarding my aggression more than I needed to. And now I'm not as retarded. I'm uninhibited, and I'm going off when I feel like I need to go off. And when I'm done speaking my stuff, I've learned how to kind of dial it back and not be like hyper vigilant about like constantly being aggressive. I could go out, like I went off a couple times yesterday at the gym here. It felt great. And then like 20 seconds later, I was cool. I was playing music. I was having a good time, joking around and smiling. And that's something that I don't know when that would have clicked in my head had it not been for these lockdowns. The other thing, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, is it really got me to audit the lens or the filter through which I watched or listened to media. And like 2 years ago, I would have told you, yeah, like I'm a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. And you'd be like, what's a Democrat? I'd be like an ignorant person who just cries all the time. And then you'd be like, what's a libertarian? And I'm like, I don't know. Is that like kind of like the bisexual of political parties? Like you don't even know what you are, so you just say I'm in the middle. Now, I would consider myself a libertarian. And there's a very specific scenario that came up in my head during all these lockdowns, and I'm really grateful for the shit show of lockdowns that allowed my brain to think of this. Now, if you guys are Republicans or Democrats, you guys remember that, I don't know where it is or who, whatever, this baker was asked to make like a gay wedding cake. And not like the wedding cake is like a girl and wants to fuck another girl cake, but like a gay couple wanted him or her to make a cake. And he didn't want to. He's like, I don't want to make that cake. And everyone lost their mind. Well, Republican people typically would be like, fuck yeah, don't make that cake. You can't make them. Democratic people would be like, no, you got to make the cake for everyone. Now, we have COVID measures, right? You can't go into a store if that store says you have to wear a mask. And Texas, super Republican state, I think they were the first one who like put in a law or something, an ordinance where businesses couldn't force patrons to wear a mask. And Republicans were like, fuck yeah. And Democrats were like, fuck no, that's not cool, we're all gonna die. If you take the cake scenario and you take the mask scenario, now Democrats and Republicans are on the opposite sides, because Republicans, when it came to cake, they're like, it's that man's business. He doesn't have to do anything that he doesn't want to. It's his business. It's his choice. And Democratic people said no. But now when it's about masks and all of this, Democratic people were like, no, the state can't tell you what to do. And Republican people were like, yes, the state told them what they couldn't do. And I was like, hey man, you know what's neat? That doesn't make any fucking sense to me. And it was that specific scenario that got me to start thinking about, am I really a Republican? Because I know I'm not a Democrat. And that got me looking into the concept of libertarianism. And that's really where I fall now. And I don't want to talk about that really a ton, but I would challenge you guys to maybe look into challenge your own beliefs when it comes to your political party, because I have no problem saying when I'm wrong when I've been taught a lesson. And a lot of that happens to me a lot politically, and a lot of times that would happen because I would blindly follow what a Republican person or influencer on Instagram or president or whatever would say, and then I'd end up with foot and mouth syndrome, and that sucked. And it was just simply because I wasn't thinking for myself. And this whole lockdown has really allowed me, it's afforded me the opportunity to learn how to think for myself better. So that's it, guys. I don't want to make this a long video. Keep it well under 15 minutes. The general concept here, though, I wanted to give you guys specific examples for me of how I've actually benefited from this situation. But I would love for you guys, if you haven't already, to just stop and think, like, upon what aspects of your life and characteristics have you improved throughout the course of these 700 something days. And yeah, these 700 days they've sucked. But they've also given us a ton of opportunity for growth. And those were just two small things that I've improved upon. I've become more empathetic to people who don't agree with my political or convictions and my ideology. I've become better at, I don't know, just being more sympathetic to other people who don't agree with me, because sometimes they don't agree with me, but they don't even really know what they believe in the first place. They were kind of how I was, and it kind of makes me feel bad. Like, I'm not even arguing with them, I'm arguing with whoever told them something. Anyways, guys, the point is, don't let this complete shit situation go to waste. And if you have up to this point, I challenge you guys to just sit down for a few minutes and just be like, all right, what are some things that I can look back on and start improving upon based on all this tough situations that I'm currently dealing with? Because I can guarantee you guys, if you haven't already grown because of what's going on right now, you've been wasting your time. That's it.